One, we are live.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the DK and Bill Wrestling Podcast, where we talk about the past and a little bit of the present of wrestling. And today we're going to go through a wonderful journey through probably one of the best periods of wrestling, the end of the 80s, going into the early 90s. And then a little later on, we're going to do a feature on one of the all-time greats in wrestling. And DK, last week was a pretty good, successful show. I think this week will be the same.
Yeah, like we came out with a bang on the first show. If you haven't watched it, please do.
Mm-hmm.
Please subscribe to our channel. We're trying to get as many people seeing our stuff as possible. Like I said, like the likes and comments are great. Even if the comments aren't too nice, that's okay too. We kind of want to learn.
Mm-hmm.
So this show, we're gonna chronicle the years 1989 to 1991, which is basically when I started watching WWF as a young kid. So we start in 1989 here, and this is kind of like the beginning of the Mega Powers exploding.
Yeah.
Which was Macho Man and Hulk Hogan. Basically, and I think there's some behind the scenes real animosity. I believe Macho Man wanted to be where Hulk Hogan was.
Mm-hmm.
And in the previous year, I don't know what happened, but there was a tournament at the previous WrestleMania for the title.
Yeah.
And I don't know if, I know what the storyline was, but I'm wondering if like maybe something happened with Hulk Hogan and he wasn't able to continue as champion, and Macho Man ended up winning the tournament over $1 Million Man at that Mania to win the title. So he was finally like the guy.
Yeah.
Going into 1988. So then we get to where we're going to start at the Royal Rumble 1989. And this is before where now if you win the Royal Rumble, you get a title shot. This wasn't, I don't think Royal Rumble was really much. It was just kind of an event that they put on. I don't think you got anything. You might have got a trophy at the time.
Yeah, basically like if you won, you just won.
You won. You're a Royal Rumble winner.
Yeah. That's really
Who
it.
really cares? Good job.
Mm-hmm.
You get the main event status maybe for a night.
Right.
And so we're going to start this show at the Royal Rumble 1989. Now, Bill, have you seen this show?
I have seen this show.
Okay, good. Now we can kind of talk about it.
Yeah.
So starts out with the Hart Foundation, Bret Hart and Jim the Anvil Neidhart, in a 2 out of 3 falls match with Fabulous Rougeau. So this is like Canadian on Canadian matchup here to start the Royal Rumble.
Well, it's actually a 6-man. The Harts have Jim Duggan with them.
Oh, I do see that. My apologies.
That's okay. And the Rougeaus have Dino Bravo. So pretty much it's Canada plus like a small bit of America.
Yeah, but America, like at the time, Jim Duggan was America. USA chants and all that. So that would have been an interesting crowd. I bet you they're all yelling USA the whole time at the 5 Canadians and Jim Duggan.
Mm-hmm.
So, and Bret Hart and Jim Neidhart and Jim Duggan win the match 2-1, I believe was the score.
Mm-hmm.
So, and this is kind of, I don't know if this is the beginning of the Hart Foundation, but this is pretty early in their actually no, this is near the end. I think Bret Hart is about to become a singles star in 1991, so we're a couple years away. There's still
we're a couple. Yeah.
I was sorry, I was thinking rockers for some reason. I believe this is once we get further down, I believe it's the rockers first
Right.
debut here in '89 at the Mania of this year, but we're getting ahead of
Mhm.
ourselves.
Then we had a women's championship match. Rockin' Robin was the champion. She
Yep.
defeated Judy Martin to keep the title.
I don't know if women's wrestling was that big at this time. Maybe they usually
Oh,
had one match and they
yeah.
probably got about 2 or 3 minutes on the 3 hour show. So I for one don't remember this match. I do remember Rockin' Robin, as I
Mhm.
just saw on the Fabulous Moolah Dark Side of the Ring.
Yeah.
So she didn't have a lot of nice things to say about Fabulous Moolah in that show. Check it out. Like I plugged last week, that show
Exactly.
is awesome. Every episode is great. Um,
Mhm.
Vice has a new show. It's not a dark side, but on China. So China vice versa, I believe it's called.
Right.
So good, so sad. If you're into that wrestling, you want to know backstories and things like that. It's a really well done documentary,
Mhm.
but it's very depressing. So be prepared. And the next match I see here is and Vince had some good stuff going on back in the day. Eh? Haku's King of the Ring crown and cape are on the line in this matchup between King Haku and Harley Race.
Yep.
And King Haku wins this match, and I guess he retains his crown and cape.
Yeah.
So,
Pretty much.
and yeah,
Now, something that's not on here that should be brought up real quick before we get to the main event is they had a pose down between Rick Rude and the Ultimate Warrior.
this was in this. I remember that. I didn't know if it was this event or not.
Right, because that's what sets up what, we'll talk about on the next
Yeah,
pay-per-view. So,
opposed down. Both guys, like, they were pretty muscular, and that's what you had to look like
mhm,
to be kind of pushed, as wrestling terms goes. You
right.
had to have, like, at this time, you had to be a big guy. You had to have all the muscles and everything, like Warrior and Hulk Hogan
Yeah.
and Rick Rude. So I remember, I don't know if it's this, if it was this event, but he had his own face on his pants, which was
Um,
probably the most hilarious and most messed up thing I've ever seen.
yeah, I'm trying to remember
Because
if this was it or
I think
not.
he takes off his robe and they're doing the pose down, and he turns around and it's him.
Yeah.
So I thought that was kind of kind of interesting. But how did this pose down go down again? I'm
Um,
I'm
well,
sure
basically,
Warrior won.
yeah, because it was the fans that ultimately were going to vote, and
Just a crowd reaction type thing.
yeah,
Okay.
and on the last pose, Heenan sprayed, I guess, oil or something into the Warrior's eyes, and then Rude hit him from behind, and then he
Yeah,
choked him out with his
classic.
bar. Mm-hmm.
Kind of like contract signings
Yeah.
for the last 30 years. Like, something's going down. When's it going down, and how is it going to go down? It was like so
Mm-hmm.
obvious you could picture it. Or when they do arm wrestling matches or different little shenanigans in the ring that aren't
Yeah.
wrestling matches. But yeah, I do remember the pose down. So, and now I believe you get to the 30-man Royal Rumble match. Now in this, did all 30 men come out at the same time?
Yes. Oh no! Oh no! Not at the same time. I'm sorry.
Okay, so it was, because I
It
believe
was
this is the second Royal Rumble annually.
Yeah. This was the second, but this is the first one where they did 30.
Yeah, and first time was on pay-per-view.
Yeah.
So this is the Royal Rumble. I think this would technically be the second Royal Rumble, but
Yeah, it is.
it's actually a pay-per-view event and would go on to start a pretty good tradition
Yeah.
in WWF, because this is kind of like the beginning of WrestleMania season, which is, if you're a wrestling fan, it's kind of like the exciting time
Mm-hmm.
between January and April. It's definitely the best time for wrestling,
Yeah.
and then it'll kick back up around SummerSlam range, and then you kind of ease into Survivor Series, and then you kind of get back into it. So
pretty much.
And we got Big John Studd is the winner of the first Royal Rumble. Gotta love Big John Studd.
Good old Big John.
And if you look at the final four, because the website I'm looking at has the final four, we got Studd, Ted DiBiase, Akeem, and Rick Martel, the players of the WWF. Like, where was, like, it says Hulk Hogan was in this, Macho Man was in it. Like, why aren't they in the final four? Like, what is happening? Hulk needs to get back to the hotel for room service, so he's like, throw me out first or something, right? Like, who's booking this event? All right, these are the final four. I can picture Vince just pounding on the desk. I guess maybe if you want Big John Studd to win, maybe you don't want him to be throwing the superstars out. Like $1 Million Man is one of my favorite wrestlers ever. Mm-hmm. He's one of the best heels of all time, in my opinion. When he used to like put the money in the guy's mouth, like, so I always liked heels a little bit more when I was younger.
Right.
I just thought they were so funny. So $1 Million Man's like a pretty big star here at the end, but Akeem, I'm not a huge fan of Akeem. Remember him and his dance and stuff, and big blue hat and a big yellow outfit he had that wasn't flattering.
Yeah.
But and what was the last and
Rick
the
Martel.
model? What was he, the model Rick Martel at this time? Where he remember when he had the perfume when he sprayed the cologne? Oh, the cologne prop was so good.
Yeah.
He wasn't the model yet. He was just Rick Martel.
He was just Rick Martel.
Okay. And I think that's basically the card for the first pay-per-view of 1989. Mm-hmm. They don't really set up WrestleMania with this card now. Now it's different nowadays, where they kind of have everything set in stone and you can kind of see stuff happening. Was Hulk Hogan and Randy Savage, they were still the Mega Powers at this point, weren't they?
Yeah, they were still the Mega Powers. And during that match, Hogan eliminated Savage.
Okay.
And Savage got irate. And then Elizabeth comes down and she separates them.
So they were setting something up here.
Yeah, the seeds are being planted.
Okay. Because you all knew, if we can go back a little bit, WrestleMania 4, and this, like, watching it now, it pisses me off because I'm not a Hulk Hogan fan. Like, hey, don't get me wrong, he's entertaining, but I wasn't a Hulk Hogan fan when I was a kid.
Yeah,
I liked everybody else. If you're fighting Hulk Hogan, then I wanted to cheer for the other guy usually. Just because I'm tired of him getting thrown down our throats, kind of like how Roman Reigns and John Cena are now. You tell me who to cheer for, I'll cheer for the opposite. That's the kind of wrestling fan I am. So WrestleMania 4, Hulk Hogan has to be in the spotlight. It's Macho Man's night. Hogan comes out there, and I think he interfered a little bit.
Yeah.
Was it Andre was down there? And Hulk Hogan had to be part of it. And Macho Man couldn't just drop the elbow on $1 Million Man and win the title straight up. So that always bothered me about him. He always needed the spotlight. So, what do you think of that?
I mean, I kind of understand having Hulk get involved because Andre just would not stay out of it.
Yeah.
True. I never had a problem with the way Savage won. I never had a problem because it's like Hogan was there to help Randy, and this
Yeah,
was the only way he could do it. So
yeah. Well, that's kind of like my reasoning why I didn't like it.
right.
Like I feel like the writers and Vince should have just like, okay, this is Randy's time. Like Hulk Hogan never had help to win a title ever. He always just hit the boot, leg drop, 1, 2, 3.
Mhm.
It's over. Real American starts playing, and he poses in the ring. But, like if you can correct me if I'm wrong, I don't. Before he became Hollywood, I don't think he ever got help winning a title match.
No, not that I can
Not that I
remember.
can recall. So I think it would have been a nicer win for Randy if he had just won the match, like maybe defeated all odds by himself. But they
Well, I
were
mean,
they were trying to plant that Hogan Savage tag team element
hmm
in '88. So maybe that's the reason behind that.
yeah.
But all good. He gets the win at WrestleMania 4, and now we're on the road to WrestleMania 5.
Yeah.
So let's I'm just gonna pull up that event. As we actually had a few Saturday night main events, but since we're doing the 3 years, I think we'll just stick to the four
Yeah,
main
we'll
ones
stick
that
to
we
the
can go
four
through.
main
If you
shows.
remember any storylines that changed because of one of those, we can always talk about that too.
Well, I mean,
But
really, the big thing was at the main event where Hogan and Savage have the tag match with the Twin Towers.
yeah,
Yes, that was the name of a real team, folks,
yep,
of Big Boss Man and Akeem. And that's where the breakup of the Mega Powers happens because
yep,
Savage is so upset at Hogan and he beats up Hogan,
in the back,
like in the back. And this is long before the audience at the arena would see this.
yeah,
So, and then that's where really the build up for WrestleMania 5 begins, is that night.
yep.
So,
I believe Elizabeth got on the apron, and I think it was Akeem like knocked her off or something, and then Hogan picked her up and like carried her back like
mhm,
and left Randy in the ring by himself.
yeah.
So and then yeah, you see that whole attack. That was really well done.
Mhm,
How they filmed back there, and like
yeah,
Hogan looked like he genuinely cared about Savage, and Savage was just giving it to him.
exactly.
But anyways, let's move on to WrestleMania 5, the first event that I actually remember watching as a child.
Um, I mean, I'm in like timeline for me, I'm a year away from starting to watch, but I have seen this show.
Yeah,
This is a pretty loaded card from
it's pretty
top to
good
bottom.
considering like like now at WrestleMania I have like 11 freaking hours. Like for 3 hours, this is a great show.
It's like 3 hours and maybe
Top Mania,
several minutes. Yeah.
top like we can talk about like on a future show like top WrestleManias because I have a few that I love, and
Right.
the one after this is one of my favorites. I think it's your favorite from what I can remember talking to you.
It's near it's in my top three, the
Yeah,
next one.
which is great, but we'll get to that when we get to that.
Hmm.
So we start this event with Hercules defeating King Haku.
Yep.
Um, what do you remember about that match?
Um, it was just an opener. There's really not much to the
Yeah,
match.
Hercules probably swung his chain around,
Hmm.
and was it the full Nelson, right? Was that his finishing move? I believe it was like
Um,
kind of like how Chris Masters used to do the master lock.
yeah,
I think it
I
was
think
similar to
that's
that.
how
Or And now Bobby Lashley, like they make a full Nelson seem like this devastating maneuver.
Well, depending on who uses it, it can
Yeah,
be devastating.
yeah, it can be a pretty devastating move if you wanted to actually put it on somebody.
Yeah,
And then so that's an opening match. Then we got Twin Towers. This is, I believe, this is Shawn Michaels' WrestleMania debut in this
it
match.
is. Yeah, it is.
Um, who knew at the time this this little blonde guy was gonna maybe go down as one of the greatest of all time in
Mhm.
ring performers? Twin Towers defeat the Rockers in this match. So Shawn Michaels, Mr. WrestleMania, 0-1.
You know what? I actually enjoy this match. It's a fun little match. There's one point where Akeem hits this clothesline on Sean, and he flips like 180, and it is so good. The spot is so good.
If you want someone to oversell, you call Shawn Michaels.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes he does it because he doesn't like the guy,
Right.
but in this case, I believe he was just he was trying to make these big guys look as good as possible, and
Pretty
he
much.
succeeded because a team was a god awful wrestler. Let's be honest. Big Boss Man I loved his character, and he had some pretty good athleticism for his size.
Oh, Boss Man gets better during the
Yeah,
year.
yeah, he does.
He really does.
Yeah, I always liked Big Boss Man. I loved that the theme song that he had.
Mm-hmm.
Hard Time,
Mm-hmm.
good stuff there. Yeah, I really like the Rockers as a team.
Yeah,
They meshed well together.
they really did.
I'm trying to compare them to somebody, maybe the Usos, similar to the Usos. How
As
they
far as style, yeah.
style had they kind of had the same maneuvers. Like most tag teams, you'll have like a powerhouse type guy, and then like a smaller guy. Like these guys were two agile,
Small.
quick
Yeah.
guys, and they complemented each other. I feel like Marty Jannetty should have had a better shot as a
Yeah.
singles guy later in his career. I think he may have had some substance abuse issues and other problems
Mm-hmm.
that probably stopped that from his career from getting going.
Yeah.
But as a tag team, I liked them. And so after that, we got a Million Dollar Man versus Brutus the Barber Beefcake, who at the time was my favorite wrestler. And to this day, I don't know why. I I just loved him. You know, knocked a guy out in a sleeper and cut his hair. I don't know. I loved it. But this ends in a double count out, which is never going to happen again in wrestling. They just don't
It's
count out people anymore.
very, very rare you see that at all.
A double count out at WrestleMania seems like, I don't know. That's pretty bad. I'm not sure. Like maybe they're setting up something down the line. I guess we'll get to
Right.
that as we continue down this road of 1989. But what do you remember about this match?
Actually, I remember before the match where DiBiase's coming out and he shakes hands with future president of the United States, Donald Trump, and
Yeah,
shows him the $1 million belt.
right. Because he was at Trump Plaza.
Yeah, for the second year in a
Yeah,
row.
right. Four was there too.
So, um,
That's funny.
yeah, and then
Yeah.
like the match ends, and then I guess Beefcake tries to cut somebody's hair, but Virgil's bald, and there's no way they're gonna let DiBiase get his hair cut. So,
Yeah. Yeah, I guess he can't cut Virgil's hair. Or Virgil
well,
probably interfered or something. Was Virgil around in those days? I thought Virgil came a little bit later.
no, he's the bodyguard.
He's the bodyguard then? Okay.
Oh, did you hear about what Virgil? Off topic. Did you hear about what Virgil
Yes.
did the other day?
With Hulk Hogan's daughter.
Yes, I love it.
I don't care who your dad is, it's still $20. The guy. He's trying to make money selling his autograph. So
taking pictures.
Oh man, brutal. And who's waiting in line to see Virgil? No offense to Virgil, but like, come
Oh,
on. I'm like, $20. No, I'm not giving you $20. Sorry.
I still have his autograph in my
Can,
room.
can you? Okay, so off topic. Can you sell a Virgil autograph picture for $20?
I
Because
doubt
I'm
it.
thinking it's probably worth like 12 at most.
I highly doubt you can sell that for
You
20
throw
bucks.
your Virgil up on eBay and tell me what happens. Don't sell it. Let's see what it gets to. Off topic. That's the way this podcast is going to go, because we're going to talk about these timelines, but
Yeah.
there's going to be stuff that we remember, and we're just going to go off topic. That's why sometimes they're going to be long. Sometimes we're going to get through it quickly.
Yeah.
So now I have the privilege of being one of the kids that was licked by a bushwhacker. Okay. So at Maple Leaf Gardens, my dad took me there, and we had front row seats, and one of those bushwhackers licked my face, and it was the greatest thing like it to happen to me before maybe I met my wife. It's like so great. I tell people like, yeah, well, you think you're better than me? Guess what? I got licked by a bushwhacker. And people look at me going, holy, that is awesome.
You should tell your kids, be like, Uncle Luke and Uncle Butch.
I can't remember which one it was. I think it was Butch. I think it was Butch that licked my head. And I had kind of like a buzz cut, so he probably looked around. He's like, oh, this kid has a buzz cut.
Oh, that's awesome.
So with the times we're going through now, there will never be a wrestler that licks a fan ever again.
No
So
way.
I feel like that would probably be bad if like Randy Orton just started licking fans all of a sudden. But there's probably some ladies in the front row that wouldn't mind that.
Right.
But anyways, I was leading into the Bushwhackers. They defeat the fabulous Rougeaus. So the Rougeaus aren't having a great 1989 here. It looks like they're 0-2 at least. I don't know about the main event, but we're not going to talk about those. So they're 0-2 on 89. I love the Bushwhackers. The way they came to the ring, they looked like they were out of it the whole time.
Right.
The move where one of them would headlock the other guy and they'd like run into the guy.
Oh, the battering ram. Yeah, that was a good move. I like that.
I'd like to know how these guys are doing health-wise.
I know Luke is doing really good.
Okay. Because bashing your head against another guy every match can lead to spine issues and concussions and other things. So I hope they're doing well.
Yeah, Luke's doing good. Butch is like, when I saw him at the Hall or on the Hall of Fame, however many years ago it was, he had those walking crutches, but at least he's walking. So
yeah, spine can you have some issues just being a wrestler, right? And the next match I remember being really good, and at the time I did not know who this guy was, but we got Mr. Perfect defeating the Blue Blazer, which everyone knows Blue Blazer was Owen Hart. And I had seen Owen Hart at in Calgary at the Stampede Wrestling. And I don't know at the time if I had recognized the same moves and stuff, but I remember this match kind of like almost stealing the show. Mr. Perfect was such a good wrestler. I really liked him. Where you spit the gum and throw the towel, like so cocky and so arrogant. What did you think about this match? If you can remember the match.
Yeah, this is a good match. Nothing back on it. I wish they had a little bit more time, but I'm not going to complain about it because this was a good match.
Yeah. And
this is a good showcase for Mr. Perfect. Well, actually for both of them. This is both their first WrestleManias, so
yeah, that's pretty good. Good match. One thing I didn't like about this WrestleMania was I didn't like the ramp walking down the stairs. It just seems so, I don't know.
I take it you weren't a fan of 1-on-1, 2-on-2, 3-on-2, all for you WrestleMania.
Yeah. Yeah, just the entrance, the walkway. I don't know.
Right.
It just seemed like I'm surprised no one fell down those stairs.
I know.
So I remember some Blue Blazer running down the stairs because they actually, like, during the Owen Hart Dark Side of the Ring, they actually had like a clip of when they were talking about the Blue Blazer stuff. Him, like, you could see the camera from behind him. He's like running down those steps, and I was like, "Holy, that's WrestleMania 5."
Yeah.
And then I hadn't realized that he was on that show. I'm like, man, he was young now because he died in 1999. He was 33, I think, or 34, 33 or 34. So that would be like 10 years later. So he was a young man, 23 years old, wrestling at a WrestleMania. So it's pretty incredible. The next match we got, it looks like a handicap tag team championship match. Demolition, Axe and Smash. Oh, okay. So it's basically 2-on-2, and Mr. Fuji was part of this match.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
I do remember this match.
I do remember.
Demolition kind of do well in this one.
I mean, yeah, the only time Mr. Fuji got involved was when Axe or Smash were in trouble. That was really it.
Yeah.
It was basically the Powers of Pain doing most of the work.
Yep. Barbarian and the Warlord. Two technical guys. Not really. Just big powerhouse, clothesline, body slams. I don't believe this match was very long.
Probably a few minutes. I don't know.
Yeah, a championship match. Probably got a little bit more time for that, but we got Dino Bravo defeats Ronnie Garvin. I don't remember Ronnie Garvin. If you can enlighten me.
Okay, so
he
had wrestled for NWA for quite a while, and then came up, I want to say at the end of 88 going into 89, and his biggest feud is with Greg Valentine, and we're not even to that point yet.
Yep.
So
okay. And we got I'm thinking here, with all these matches, that we're probably not going to have time to go through every single one.
Yeah.
So what I'll do is I'll just kind of like hit the important ones, or the ones with star power. So the next one I'd like to talk about is we got Jake the Snake defeats Andre the Giant. Special referee Big John Studd.
That's what you get for winning the Royal Rumble, John. You get to be a guest referee.
You get to be a special referee. Big John.
So, you know, thinking about it now, the storyline with Jake and Andre is actually really good.
Yeah.
You have this 500-pound, 7'5" giant of a man.
Scared of snakes, though, right?
Scared of snakes. Yeah.
So it was, and I think he was actually scared of snakes. Like,
I would believe that.
I think he was, and if you watch the Andre documentary that they have on HBO, I think there was a thing in there about how he didn't really want to do it, and the fear in the giant's eyes is legit fear. Like, who wouldn't be scared of freaking Python?
Yeah, I know.
Like, or Cobra. Talking about the time where Macho Man got bit.
Yeah.
For long, and then Jake couldn't get the snake off him, and oh my god, could have been real bad. But
I actually told my nephews about that a couple weeks ago. That story of when Randy got bit by the cobra.
Yeah, like they de-venomized the cobra,
Yeah,
and then Macho Man, he's all paranoid in the back, and he's like, you better get that snake to bite you first.
exactly.
He didn't believe Jake. He's like, what am I gonna do? Like kill you in the ring? There's no venom in here. And then Jake let the snake bite him first in the
Hmm.
back.
Yeah,
So still pretty crazy. Like you never see that these days.
yeah.
Like I don't know what they were thinking there. Let's have a live cobra in a wrestling ring with fans in the crowd, and I don't know. That's
That's one of those things where I'm like, man, I wonder how PETA or any of those other animal
right.
activist groups ever got involved.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe PETA doesn't care about snakes that much. I don't know. It was a cobra. Like that's crazy. I still remember that and the blood coming out of his
Yeah.
arm. Like oh my
Oh
god.
my God,
I'm
yes.
trying to remember the timeline when that is. If we'll get to that during this
We
chronicle,
actually will.
it's got to be. Yeah, it's got to be between
Yeah.
89 91. So,
Yeah.
um, the next match we'll talk about is the Intercontinental title. Rick Rude defeats the Ultimate Warrior.
Yeah. I don't remember this match being good.
Well, it's the Warrior. He doesn't do good matches usually,
Well, the
unless
the
he has a
next
really good guy with him that can
the
carry
next
him.
pay-per-view that we talk about, he's gonna have a tremendous match.
Yes.
But and then I like the finish because it's like Bobby Heenan at this point will do anything to win a championship.
Yeah.
And Rick Rude is like his guy.
Yeah.
And the way he does it is so good. I'm not gonna spoil how he does it for those who haven't seen it, but
Yeah.
it's just so good.
Totally. Okay. And then, well, I just lost my page. I apologize for that, man.
Well, the
All
only
right.
big match
We
is the
got
main event.
and we got a few like mid card level matches. Red Rooster defeats Bobby Heenan,
Yeah.
which was awful. And then we get
That went
to
very quick.
the main event. Hulk Hogan versus Macho Man Randy Savage, which is one of the most anticipated main events in recent memory, probably since WrestleMania 3, I would say.
Yeah, and it delivers.
And it's a great match. I think it's over 30. And you got 2.5 hour pay-per-view.
Let me
It's,
let me check.
I don't know if it's over 30, but it's close. 20, 25 at least, I'd say.
Let's see.
Which was long for Hogan.
Are you ready for this?
Sure, is it like way less?
17 minutes.
Okay. Yeah, I don't remember it being that short.
I was expecting at least 20 as well, but it only went 17.
Well, they had a lot of stuff happen in the match. I remember Hogan's eye like getting bleeding, and you didn't
Yeah.
see that was rare. That now I'm thinking that was an accident. They didn't bleed or anything back then.
Right.
So, I remember he was bleeding, and it was a classic late '80s match where the heel dominated the match, and then Hogan did the comeback. It's a really good match. I give that match probably an A minus. I really liked it. It was entertaining the whole time.
Yeah, I'm about at that same level. I'm like B plus, A
Yeah,
minus.
that might be an exaggeration on my part.
Right.
Because I wanted to rewatch a couple of these pay-per-views before we did the show, but I did get kind of busy this week, so I wasn't able to revisit them. Yeah, so that was WrestleMania 5. Pretty good WrestleMania.
Yeah.
Considering WrestleMania 4 was very good too with the tournament and everything.
Mm-hmm.
So they had to live up to that hype. So
Yeah, they really did.
yeah. So the next one we'll talk about is we'll just go to SummerSlam.
Now this is a hell of a show.
Yeah,
Oh my
he got
god.
a really cool. Like, I don't know what your thoughts on Zeus are, but I was legit scared of this guy, and I thought because this is kind of around the time where the No Holds Barred movie was coming out.
Right.
So, and like Zeus, like scared kids.
Mm-hmm.
Like he was a legit like guy, and like sometimes you thought he was actually hurting the guys in there. Like I kind of had like I didn't know wrestling was scripted
Yeah.
this time, but I kind of had an idea of like how it worked. And there were times where I was just like, oh man, is he really hurting him there?
I mean, for me, because again, I didn't start till I think like the year after.
Yeah,
With Zeus, I'm like, why the heck does this guy have a Z on his head? Like,
right.
when you see that, it's like, oh, he's not really that intimidating.
Yeah, yes,
I, I mean, the character was all right. I mean, the guy, Tiny or Tom Lister, Tiny Lister, seemed like a really cool guy from what I
yeah.
heard. I
I like
never
him as
heard.
an actor too. Well,
Yeah,
like,
I never heard anything bad about him. So
yeah, I believe he has passed away.
yeah, last year he
Yeah,
passed away.
so um, yeah, I remember hearing that actually, and going, oh, that's Zeus. Okay. Because he got into movies after his brief wrestling career. I don't think it was very long.
Mm.
Just 89, right? I believe.
Yeah.
Because he came in and so I'm not going to go through this entire card. We'll talk about the two main matches.
Mm-hmm.
We got the Warrior defeats Rick Rude, and was this a cage match?
No.
It, I, for some reason, does he face Rick Rude in a steel cage?
Yeah, that's going to be at the next SummerSlam.
Oh, okay. That's at the next
But
SummerSlam, so that's when he's the champion, the
but
heavyweight champion.
this match
Okay.
is so good.
Yeah. See, because when you said that in our previous conversation, I was thinking it was steel cage that was so good, and I didn't remember that being that good. So I'll have to go back and watch this match, SummerSlam '89,
Yeah.
Warrior and Rick Rude. Okay. Would you? Why don't you break down the match?
Okay, so basically Warrior is on the offense from the beginning.
Yep.
And he like this crowd is insane. Like they are going for everything the Warrior is doing. And then Rude eventually gets the momentum back. And the commentary is great for this match because Jesse
Yeah.
Ventura is such a Rick Rude guy.
Oh yeah.
And then you get to the end, Roddy Piper comes out
Nice.
and he moons Rick Rude, which I didn't, at 11 or 12, seeing this for the first time, I'm like, what did he do? And then
Yeah.
Rude gets distracted. Warrior takes him down, hits a couple of running shoulder blocks, does the big splash. Warrior gets his belt back.
Nice.
Yeah.
Classic Warrior match.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. That's basically the Warrior in a nutshell, right? He'd come down, he'd clothesline you. He had all this energy, and then the gorilla press.
But when he had a good to great match,
Mhm.
he had it, and
Yes.
point him out along the way. So
Yes, I definitely agree with that. He needed a really good guy to be in the ring with, that like a ring general, like they say.
Mm-hmm.
Some of his best matches are with guys like Macho Man Randy Savage, like Rick Rude.
Mm-hmm.
So I agree with what you're saying there. The main event, we got a tag team match: Hulk Hogan and Brutus, the Barber, versus Macho Man and Zeus, as we were talking about before. What did you think of Zeus?
I thought the Zeus character and the match go good because they're making him like this indestructible guy. Like,
Yeah,
can Hogan beat him? Like, what happened in the movie was the movie.
yeah,
This is, quote unquote, real life.
yeah,
And, and at the time, it's like Zeus is this indestructible monster. And that's one of the things for a long time, especially in the 80s in wrestling, they did a very, very good job of was selling like these guys and making them seem like indestructible. And WWE, especially in this time period, did a great job of that.
yeah.
So, and as far as the match goes, this is a good match as well. Um, because you just had like all the elements there, and then you had Savage, who's still a big player. You had Beefcake involved, Sherry's involved, Elizabeth is involved.
Yeah.
It's just a good mix. Um, I still say Warrior and Rude was the best match on the show, but this would maybe be like the second or third best match from that show.
Yeah, well, you kind of had like it was Hogan and Savage,
Mm-hmm.
and then you kind of had like co-stars
Yeah, basically.
to make it where it's not a repeat of WrestleMania, but kind of like an ongoing storyline.
Yeah,
So I
absolutely.
actually just closed that by mistake. Who won this match? Hogan and Beefcake,
Hogan,
I'm
yeah,
assuming.
Hogan and Beefcake. Yep.
Do you remember how like did Zeus get pinned here by Hogan, or
Well,
was it?
Hogan
I think
Hogan hit Zeus with Sherry's purse,
okay, so
then body slammed him, then hit the leg drop to win.
okay,
So he didn't do
nice.
it clean. He had to
No,
cheat.
you gotta cheat.
Hogan had to cheat on that one.
Yeah, I tell you, those women like those valet purses were just loaded. You get hit with a purse, you were out cold.
Yeah, and this purse wasn't that big. It's a
No,
small purse.
it's a little plastic purse. You're not gonna get hurt, but still pretty
Yeah.
funny how that went down. Next event here in '89, the last event of '89 is
Yeah.
Survivor Series, and this is how I like Survivor Series. You have teams, Survivor Series matches, eliminations. Um, they've they don't really do this as much anymore,
Yeah.
and I wish they would get back to it. Like you don't have to have title matches every pay-per-view. Just have all these teams, and you get to see different matchups,
Yeah.
different guys you don't see all the time facing each other. So, I think there's two matches I'd like to talk about here.
Okay.
And if you have one that you would like to talk about as well, we got the Hulkamaniacs, which was Hulk Hogan, Jake the Snake, Demolition,
Mm-hmm.
and Demolition, a four-person team,
Yeah.
versus $1 million team, which was DiBiase, Zeus, and the Powers of Pain. I
And
believe,
this is
yeah, this one went down to the wire, and Hulk Hogan was the lone survivor. What do you remember about this one?
Well, I remember that this was basically to continue two things. One, to push Hogan and Zeus,
Yeah,
and also, and we're not going to talk about it because it's kind of it's not important, but I'll just mention it anyway. This is the buildup for the No Holds Barred, the movie, the match that they would have like Christmas week of '89,
oh yeah,
and that because like I think like that was the day, like that was the premiere of the movie on pay-per-view, because like this was before on demand, where you
right.
like if you wanted to see a movie, you could order it on pay-per-view and just watch it.
Watch it. Yeah,
Yeah, so this was kind of their setup for, okay, we're gonna have the premiere of the movie on pay-per-view, and then we're also going to put a match where Hogan and Beefcake face Zeus and Savage in a steel cage, and that ended up being like the final confrontation.
Yeah.
Because when we get to WrestleMania 6, I'm going to give you a little backstory that I didn't know until a couple years ago.
Sure.
So.
Oh, okay. At Mania 6, you're gonna lay that out. And yeah, the main, like, I don't know if this is the main event, but it looks like it was the last match was the Ultimate Warriors, which if you watch the promo of this, it's really funny because you have Shawn Michaels in the background talking, and Warriors just like pacing and acting like a freaking crazy lunatic.
Yeah.
And you can see Michaels, like, he's not a good actor yet. So he's kind of like looking at the camera and he's kind of like smirking, going like, "Oh my, what's happening?" He's like, "Calm down, Warrior. We got your back." And Warrior's like just spitting off all this nonsense, and pretty good. So you got the Ultimate Warriors, which is the Warrior, Chimney Anvil Neidhart, and the Rockers, which I don't know how they came up with that team. I see the Rockers and the Warrior kind of meshing. They got the tassels. They all got long hair. Yeah. And like, oh, we need another guy. Let's throw Jimmy Anvil Neidhart on the team because he's kind of crazy.
Well, he kind of, has the power along with Warriors.
Yeah, so and he's always been kind of crazy in the promos too.
Yeah.
And they faced the Heenan family, which is Andre, Arn Anderson, Haku, and Bobby Heenan is in this match.
Yeah. Originally, and this is kind of a famous story, this was supposed to be Tully Blanchard in the match as well.
All right.
However, he had failed a drug test the day of the show.
Okay.
I think it was cocaine that he failed for.
Okay.
And he was fired that day.
Oh. So Bobby, you're wrestling tonight because...
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah, you don't want to be doing that kind of stuff, so...
No, not in... And then Ultimate Warrior is the survivor of the match.
Yeah, it seemed like basically what I was reading here is it looked like most of the Survivor Series matches had one survivor.
Yeah.
So that's okay. What's your take on that pay-per-view to end the year?
It's a guilty pleasure of mine. I know there are some people that don't like the show, but there's something about that show that I really, really like. Maybe it's because of how unusual the card is and like who's in and who's not in. Because there were like a couple other people that did not that were advertised that ended up not being on the show.
Yeah.
Like Akeem was advertised, but he was hurt, so he got replaced by Bad News Brown. And Barry Windham, who at the time was known as the Widowmaker, he was replaced by the Earthquake.
I got to can I add in a Bad News Brown story for you?
Please.
Okay, so this is kind of like sad, but I've worked with Bad News Brown as doing security in Calgary.
Okay.
So he was at WrestleMania doing a match with Roddy Piper, and then he's working with DK doing mall security. So, and like I kind of recognized him. I asked him, and he's like, "Yeah, I used to be in the WWF." And I was like, "Okay, man." And now like I'm a kid, and he's an older guy, and he's having some trouble walking and stuff, and now he's mall security. So that's kind of like my story for Bad News Brown.
Did he call you a beer belly sharecropper?
No, he did not.
Or spineless cockroach?
No. He was all very, very nice guy, and he had lots of good stories.
I would have liked to have met him.
He wasn't a bitter a bitter guy or anything
Yeah,
like
he seemed
some
like that.
wrestlers are, but
He seemed down to earth.
yep. And yeah, and we got a good match to talk about involving him and some very controversial attire.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's WrestleMania 6 that
Yeah,
I
we'll
broke
we'll
down on.
get to that.
We'll get to that because that was pretty bad back then, and now that would just be the worst thing to ever happen.
Right.
But I have pulled up Royal Rumble 1990. We're starting 1990 now. This is when Bill starts watching wrestling.
Yep.
So this is in Orlando, 18,000 people. That's pretty good for a Royal Rumble
Yeah.
for this time. Now, you can correct me if I'm wrong here.
You're wrong. No, I'm just kidding.
Okay. Did they start, you get a title shot if you win Royal Rumble this year? Because I see who won Royal Rumble, and that's the guy that challenges.
We're a few years away from that, so
okay.
We're not going to get to it on this one.
Yeah, because, you know what? I was backwards anyways. So there is not a lot of matches in this Royal Rumble, as I believe the Royal Rumble was probably half the show.
Yeah.
So you got the Bushwhackers defeating the Rougeos. The Rougeos like haven't won a match in like a year and a half here.
Right.
That I've seen. Jim Duggan defeats Big Boss Man by disqualification.
Mm-hmm.
Couple other little matches, and then you got this star-studded Royal Rumble.
Oh my God, the talent in this Rumble. I would say this one and 92, which we won't get to today. Those two might be the most stacked rosters for a Royal Rumble ever.
Now, the 92 Royal Rumble, that was the one where
for the title,
where Ric Flair wins, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's the one for the title.
And that ending was so good with Hogan and Sid and Ric Flair. But, and Ric Flair was only there that was his first kind of like appearance for WWF, wasn't it? Where Bobby Heenan had him, and
I want to say it was like his second, but
okay. I remember it was like, wow, Ric Flair's on WWF, and then he was there for a little bit, and he dropped the title to Brett in Canada, and then he was gone.
But this particular Rumble 90 is so good because it sets up the main event of WrestleMania 6.
Yes. Now Hulk Hogan wins this, and when I first read it, I was totally backwards. I was thinking that Hogan was the challenger, but he ends up becoming the champion. Well, he's still the champion
going into
it. Right.
See, there's nothing on the line.
Yeah, my apologies. I'm kind of backwards here, as Hogan is still champion from winning WrestleMania 5.
Mm-hmm.
There's no title match at Royal Rumble. He enters the Royal Rumble as a champion. There's no title on the line. He's just there for to enter the Royal Rumble. He wins he wins the match, and like you said, sets up the main event for the next event that we're going to talk about.
And just real quick, the final four for that Rumble.
Yeah.
Hulk Hogan, Mr. Perfect, Rick Rude, and Hercules.
Right.
How Hercules got in the final four, we'll never know.
Yeah. Like, so when you said set up, like, was there an instance where Hogan eliminates Warrior?
Well, at one point, Hogan and Warrior are the only two in the ring.
Okay.
And the crowd goes crazy, and they have like this push off, and then they bump into each other, and then
I remember that.
Yeah. But yeah,
that probably set up the event. Like I'm sure Vince is sitting there counting money, going, "Well, we got something here." Two big time stars that haven't had a match,
right?
Finally get a little bit like there's a chance they may fight. for the first time in this Royal Rumble, and then
Mm-hmm.
the crowd ate it up, like you were saying there, and probably just, I don't know if they had a plan before this event, but after seeing the reaction, you kind of just go with it. Title for title,
Yeah. The ultimate
WrestleMania,
challenge.
the Ultimate Challenge. It's like, it's so well done
Mm-hmm.
the way they set up the event
Yeah.
as like the unstoppable force.
Yeah.
And then we got WrestleMania 6.
Mm-hmm.
One
This
of the
is the show
best.
that got me into it. This is
One
the show.
What did you think of the little ring the guys got in and then they took him to the ring? I thought that was amazing.
I thought that was really
I
cool.
loved it. Now, did they do this because the ramp was so long?
Yeah.
They didn't want guys getting tired. Like
Yeah.
Andre wouldn't have made it.
Oh God, no. Poor
Now,
Andre.
and I loved how Warrior ran out and Hogan walked out. But
Mm-hmm.
most of the guys, from what I can remember, were in that little ring.
Yeah.
So the first match is a opener. Rick Martel defeats Coco Beware.
Yeah.
And now we got like a big a babyface turn here
Yeah.
with Andre the Giant. Demolition defeat Andre and Haku to
Mm-hmm.
win the tag titles. And there's an incident at the end where Bobby Heenan slaps Andre.
And that's kind of like the ultimate sin. You do not do that to Andre the Giant.
Yeah, like Andre looked legit pissed off. Now I'm like, is he a good actor? Sure, he's been in some movies. He's a good actor, but
Mhm.
was he supposed to slap Andre the Giant like that, or is that something that Bobby came up with? Because Bobby looked scared.
I
Andre
don't
was
want
like,
to slap me. Why did you slap me?
yeah, so good. I loved Andre. It's so bad that it's really bad how everything went down for him.
Right.
He's such a good character.
Mm-hmm.
I believe he took down 108 beers one night, which is
Right.
the most incredible thing I've ever heard in my life. But
Let's talk about what is considered now to be very controversial and is not up on the WWE network because for some reason they will not put a disclaimer up for this part, which I think is what they should have done.
I'll tell you right now, I can watch this in Canada on the WWE network.
Thank God.
Peacock for you guys took everything down.
Yeah.
Just Peacock. I
Yeah.
believe it's Peacock's issues. But yeah, it's, oh my God.
So
Blackface.
the match is Roddy Piper against Bad News Brown.
Yeah.
The reason they took this down, this was a story when, Peacock first got the WWE like library.
Yeah.
For those who haven't seen it, which I don't think is too many, Roddy Piper is half blackface.
He's half black everything.
Exactly. He's half black.
Painted his whole body half black. It's so
and that's how he is the entire match. So I guess the people at NBC are like, oh, we can't show this. We got to completely take it off.
Yeah.
I understand, but couldn't you have put like a disclaimer on there? Be like,
yeah,
hey, these guys did something really dumb. Don't do this at home.
Yeah. Like if you show Chris Benoit, then you should be able to show anything. Just show a disclaimer and say,
yeah,
this is the views of the WWF,
right,
not Peacock or whatever they have to do.
Right.
It's part of history.
Like it's kind of like, if you don't mind me using another example here, it's kind of like with Disney Plus and the Muppet Show. like they've put on some episodes a disclaimer before like certain episodes air of like, we don't agree with this. This was bad then. It's bad now.
Yeah,
So that's what they should have done,
right.
or at least I think that's what they should have done. But I don't agree with what Roddy did. Don't get me wrong. I don't agree with it, but
No, and like, how does he get the approval for this? Like, hey Vince, I'm gonna paint half my body black.
I have no idea.
And I'm guessing it wasn't like Roddy's, like, I don't know if you have creative control at this point. Like, this must have been something that came from somebody else. You
Right.
gotta like get people invested. And we're talking about this still.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe that's why they did it.
Yeah,
I don't know.
maybe. I don't know.
Still messed up though.
Well, let's talk about some of the other big matches at this WrestleMania. We had the first mixed tag match in WWF history.
Yes.
Dusty Rhodes and Sapphire defeat Randy Savage and Queen Sherry.
Yeah.
And I love how they make this such a big deal, because like later on, the idea of a mixed tag match wouldn't be that big.
No.
But considering, I think number one, the two male wrestlers that are involved makes it a big deal.
Yeah.
And then also Sherry is involved. And then you have Sapphire, who never wrestled. If I remember correctly, she, like, the way like the relationship with her and Dusty began was like she worked in the St. Louis territory, and that's how Dusty knew her. So I guess
Okay.
they'd been friends for a while.
Right.
So, and then of all people, Sapphire gets the pin in the match.
Can I say something about this match? You know who the star of this match was for me? Was the commentary of Jesse the Body Ventura.
Oh, it's so great.
Just, he's just giving it to Sapphire the whole time.
He's like, I know Dusty weighs 200 pounds, but damn, Sapphire must weigh 260.
Yeah, he like the whole time, the whole beginning of the match, he's complaining about the total combined weight is off.
585.
Yeah,
I believe 480, but 580.
yeah. And now this is like kind of like where I feel like Randy Savage is like maybe getting pushed down that card. You got like main event, WrestleMania 4 wins title, WrestleMania 5 loses title, but he's still in the main event. WrestleMania 6, we're gonna put you in a, like, don't get me wrong, Dusty Rhodes is a legend, but
Yeah.
this is near the end of his career. We're gonna put you in a mixed tag match in the middle of WrestleMania 6.
Yeah, but the way it was kind of promoted, it was kind of like the second or third biggest match on the show.
True. Now, it all depends on how you look at it.
Mm-hmm.
So the next match I'd like to talk about is the $1 Million Championship.
Oh my gosh! With
Ed
the best
DiBiase defeats
promo.
Jake via countout to retain the title. What do you remember about this one?
First off, the greatest promo of all time from Jake Roberts before the match.
Yeah.
Like, I still get goosebumps to this day listening to that promo.
Yeah.
Then, and I'm going to go back to Jesse here. He is so excited about the wave during the match. And they actually have the camera follow the crowd doing the wave. And he's like, come on, Gorilla, it's coming our way. Whoa! Oh
Yeah.
my God. It is
Yeah.
so freaking hilarious.
Yeah. I almost got to go to this event. It was close. I was living in Toronto, and we were about to move west to Calgary. So I think I may have missed
Oh
just the window
no.
by a little bit. And I
Oh
was very disappointed in that because I'd been to a few matches at the Maple Leaf Gardens in Toronto,
right.
and they had pretty good house shows.
Mm-hmm.
You always got the stars coming out. I saw Macho Man versus Hulk in a steel cage, probably the first match I ever saw live, which was pretty great. But I feel like being at this event live would have been pretty incredible.
Yeah.
And Edge was there. I could have seen Edge when he was a young man.
Be
I think
like,
he was a little bit older than me. I think he was a teenager. So
could have been like, hey, you're gonna be a star someday, and
yeah,
you're gonna be Edge.
you're gonna be Edge. Yeah,
And then after the match, Jake's giving out money, and he gives $100 bill to Mary Tyler Moore.
yeah,
And,
yeah.
and Jesse's like, why does she get 100? She doesn't need it.
Jesse Ventura was so good at that role.
Oh my gosh.
He
This
actually, like, you would sway who you were cheering for in a match because he'd either piss you off or
Mhm.
he'd be laughing the whole time. Sometimes I wouldn't even pay attention to some of the matches because I was just listening to Jesse
yeah.
just trash. Like, go back to the Sapphire. That was like probably besides the main event, that was like the headline of WrestleMania because he's talking about her weight.
There's a part.
480. Give me
There's a,
some break.
there's a part where it's Tito Santana's match, and he's talking about how he was in Tijuana once, and he had like these 3 girls, and then he's like, he could have given a couple of burritos to the Barbarian before the match. He could have gotten him sick. Gorilla's like, stop it. And he's like, he could have won on count of a forfeit.
Yeah. Like stuff you can't say at all. Just like controversial.
He goes revenge, right?
Tito's revenge. Stop it. Totally. They were like a married couple, those two. Gorilla.
Oh, I love Gorilla and Jesse.
Right, not Gesser. Oh, pro, hands down. Like there was a lot of good commentary teams, but Gorilla Monsoon and Jesse Ventura.
Oh my gosh.
They meshed really well together.
If it hadn't been for Gorilla and Bobby, I would say Gorilla and Jesse's the best commentating team ever.
Yeah. Bobby was a phenomenal heel commentator.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like that's where Jerry the King Lawler got a lot of his stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Because Jerry Lawler and Vince McMahon, they were great. And then it would go to Jim Lawler, Jim Ross.
Oh, Lord.
And then Michael Cole and Jerry Lawler. And even like present, I really like Corey Graves. I didn't think I would.
Corey Graves is good. It's just like I feel
sometimes it's too much.
Yeah, at times. Yeah. Like the last year or so.
But he's the heel.
Mm-hmm.
He's the heel commentator, and like when Carmella comes out and everybody knows that he like left his wife for Carmella, and then and he talks about her like how she's the greatest of all time. It's very funny. So, but
all right, let's talk about the main event of WrestleMania 6.
Oh, right, there was one more match, the Ultimate Challenge.
Yes.
And Warriors. Well, what do you think of Warriors promo where he was in the back and just talking nonsense?
This is actually one of those Warrior promos that is actually really good because he talks about how Hulk Hogan has been like
God.
Like the star of the last 5 WrestleManias, which in a way he has a good point. Yep. You know,
he was in 4. He didn't win because he got disqualified, but he was there.
Mm-hmm.
He was at the end, like I said, with Macho Man.
Mm-hmm.
So he was the man.
But no, that's one of his better promos, I think.
Yep.
That one. And then the match just...
Oh, God.
The match just delivers Like it went. I think looking back on it, because I have a couple of like videotapes where they like build up to WrestleMania.
Yeah.
The match went far beyond, I think, what anyone would have ever expected out of both guys.
There's a story about this match. I don't know if you knew this, but there's supposed to be 15 extra minutes in the middle. But Warrior got too tired,
Right.
and Hogan kind of just called it because Warrior was like losing energy, and like the way they had to do the end. I thought it was a pretty good match. The build-up was really good for it too.
Yeah.
I liked how you kind of like you saw it coming. I thought the Warrior was going to win this the whole time, but when the Hulk hit the big boot, I was like, oh my god, I can't
Here we
believe
go
they're going to
again.
beat the Warrior. And then he moves. I'd never seen when Hulk hits the mat. It's like someone hit him with a sledgehammer.
Yeah.
He's just like, oh, and it was devastating. Like you'd never seen Hulk miss a leg drop before.
Right. And this
Like
is the first,
big boot, leg drop, it's over. That was what happened.
and it's the first time Hogan loses clean in the WWF.
Yeah.
There's no shenanigans, no cheating. He loses clean.
And if you do notice, he kicks out at 3 and like an eighth.
Yeah.
Like he doesn't just lie down for the Warrior. He kicks out right after the 3 count to save, I landed on my leg and I just couldn't kick out.
Now, I want to go back a little bit.
Sure.
Because I had said about what the original, well, I didn't say what it was, but I did say that the original main event of WrestleMania 6 was not this match. The original, and I saw this video a few years ago, the original main event for WrestleMania 6 was going to be Hogan versus Zeus.
Yeah, I heard that too.
Nothing against Zeus, but oh my god, did they get a better main event out of this one?
Yeah. Well, it makes sense because like the way they were pushing the Zeus Hogan angle, and for the movie and at SummerSlam and Survivor Series and all that stuff, it makes sense to like. I know they did have that singles match.
Yeah,
like you said on Christmas or something. One of them.
But you didn't. But that feud could not have gone all the way to WrestleMania.
And Zeus was not a good in-ring wrestler. Like he was, he was like an attraction. But like, how long could a Hulk Hogan Zeus match go before it got boring? Probably 10 minutes at most.
Probably.
Because Zeus did not have a lot of moves. Hulk Hogan didn't have a lot of moves. A lot of really successful Hulk Hogan matches is the other guy beating him down for the majority of the match.
Yeah.
And then he hulks up, gets the crowd going, points the finger. And then he does the three blocks of the punches. And then leg drop or big boot, leg drop. Time to go home.
Yeah.
That was a Hulk Hogan match, and it worked. It worked for 9 years or 8 years or whatever it was.
Yeah.
Like as the American, Hulk Hogan. Like I'm not talking about like before he became Hulk Hogan.
Right.
But if we're talking WrestleMania 1 to WrestleMania 9, it started dying in 9. WrestleMania 8, it was kind of getting a little boring, but I was still into it. Like I said, I'm not a big Hulk Hogan fan. Like I like him for his attractions and stuff like that. Like I always kind of cheered against him now.
I'll say this: if the main event had been Hogan and Zeus, I don't think that show is remembered as much as it's remembered today.
No, I agree totally.
I think it would be remembered, but I don't think it would be remembered and held as a high regard like you and I have it as.
Yeah,
So
it's top five for me.
yeah, absolutely.
I have like I think 17 is the best one for everything.
Right.
That promo, like I know we're getting off topic. That promo or that build up to Rock Austin with the Limp Bizkit song is the
Mhm.
best thing I think they've ever done. WWE is what I'm talking about for a
Right.
build up. It's so good.
That
And
would be I think that would be a great discussion
yeah,
for another day.
yes, I agree.
I
I don't
still
want to be
have
off topic here.
because I still have my list from like several years ago that I did of like my top WrestleManias. So,
Yeah, and we could do top main events too. Like
oh gosh,
like
yeah.
there's like a WrestleMania like for one. I'll just say this and then we'll get back to 90. Like
Mhm.
I think WrestleMania 25 wasn't the greatest WrestleMania, but Shawn and Undertaker was one of the best matches ever.
Yeah.
So people look at it and go, "Oh, that was such a great show." And then you look at some of the other matches, like it wasn't as good as it could have been.
Hmm.
Like that's just an example.
Yeah.
Like you can save a WrestleMania with a great match,
Hmm.
or you can like if the main event kind of sucks, the guy you didn't want to win doesn't win, then maybe you're sour
Hmm.
on that pay-per-view. But yeah, we could talk about that in a future show.
Yeah.
So WrestleMania 6 goes off. I really like the ending
Hmm.
with when the Warrior, like the camera shot, because in Skydome they have that like really cool. It's a video screen in the
Yes.
background
Yes.
um, for like the Blue Jays and stuff. That's where the Blue Jays still play.
Hmm.
And I don't know if you remember, but the camera was a Warrior. His face paint was all gone.
Yeah. It's all
It,
gone.
this is like the actual guy. Like he's a person. He's not this warrior. He's an actual person. He's and the music's going. Great music for Warrior. I liked his music. And he's shaking the ropes and he's when he's spinning the belt around, like when he's like that's with the belt. I just really like the camera shot that did to
Hmm.
close the show. And then Hogan's on the trolley thing.
Yeah.
And he's just looking back and he's got his hands on his hips and he's almost like admiring, like almost giving it to the Warrior, saying like you made it.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was WrestleMania 6.
Hmm.
So we'll I'm just gonna jump in here and unless you have the pay-per-view list in front of you.
I do, and the
But
next one is SummerSlam.
I'm now I don't want to get into this too much, but in my
Right.
list there's a WWF and New Japan
Oh
Wrestling Summit.
yes. Yes.
I I,
Okay.
I did not know that they had any connection with New Japan.
Well,
April
this
13th at the Tokyo Dome. So
well this
this
is
is 2 weeks after WrestleMania 6.
this is kind of like a joint show.
Okay.
It's WWF, New Japan, and All Japan,
Yeah.
and some of the talent from WWF go over.
Okay.
I have not seen this show, but I've seen a couple of the matches on here.
Okay. So who went
Uh,
over like of stars? Like did Warrior or Hogan go over?
yeah. I'll just read the WWF matches.
Sure.
So these are the guys that had the matches that had WWF wrestlers on it. Jimmy Snuka and Tito Santana. Wow, imagine that tag team.
Nice.
Beat Kenta Kobashi and Masanobu Fuchi.
Okay.
Bret Hart wrestled Tiger Mask, and they went to a time limit draw.
Tiger Mask.
There's so many. I'll do a quick one. There's so many versions of Tiger Mask.
Yeah.
I think this is the second one, and this ends up being Masawa.
Okay.
So And if you younger fans don't know who Misawa is, go look him up. He is phenomenal. Greg Valentine has a match. He loses to the Great Kabuki. Jake Roberts beats the Big Boss Man. Haku, and he's referred to in this match as King Haku, which is kind of funny.
Yeah.
He teams up with Jumbo Tsuruta. They defeat Mr. Perfect and Rick Martel. Tenryu defeats Randy Savage. The Ultimate Warrior in what I believe is his first title defense. I'm not really sure. I'll look it up another time.
It'll be 13 days after Mania, so I'm guessing.
I would think this is his first title defense.
Yeah.
He beats Ted DiBiase. Andre the Giant teams up with Giant Baba to defeat Demolition, non-title match.
Yep.
And the main event of this show, Hulk Hogan defeats Stan Hansen.
Okay.
And this is at the Tokyo Dome in front of 53,000 people.
So they go from Sky Dome 67,000 to the Tokyo Dome 50.
Not bad. Not
too
bad
at all. So yeah, I would like to. I don't know if this show is available on a network.
I don't think so.
I don't think they have the rights when New Japan's part of it.
I would say look it up on YouTube.
Yeah,
that would be my best guess.
I feel like that would be pretty good.
Yeah.
All right, so let's jump into SummerSlam 1990.
All right.
I'm gonna pick a few matches here, and you can pick a few if you'd like, just to speed up a little bit here.
Yeah.
We got the Intercontinental title. Texas Tornado defeats Mr. Perfect.
Okay.
Remember this match being pretty good?
Well, this match was going to be Brutus Beefcake against Mr. Perfect, but Beefcake had the
It's where he got in a car accident?
He had like the boat accident.
The boat accident. Yeah.
So this would have been Beefcake winning the title. But they ended up going with Tornado as a good substitute, I think. So
yeah.
And it's a short, I remember this being a short match. It's only a few minutes.
Yeah. I think this pay-per-view is pretty short too. I think it's just over 2 hours.
Yeah, it's like 2.5, I think.
Yeah. So seems like a lot of kind of rematches from Mania 2.
Right.
You got Randy Savage beats Dusty. And then you had Sherry defeats Sapphire
by forfeit.
Sapphire, I think she hurt herself or something in this.
I don't.
She hurt her ankle or something. I remember. I don't think she could stand up or something, and then they just counted her out or something.
Right.
From what I can remember. That's a got. So Hulk Hogan, Earthquake faces Earthquake. Another count out victory. You don't see these too often now.
And this was Hogan's quote unquote return match.
Yeah.
Because he had been put out by Earthquake, and it was like, oh, is this the end of Hulk Hogan? Is it the end of Hulkamania? And
it's called vacation time.
Yeah.
Vacation time. So we'll just crush you on a Saturday night, and then you can have 2 months off.
And the funniest part, I always laugh at this because I swear this was unintentional, because they did this whole campaign to write "Get Well" to Hulk Hogan.
Yeah.
The P.O. box number is the funniest thing. I always laugh at this. It's like, if you want to send Hulk a letter, write to Get Well Hulk, P.O. Box 911. And I'm like, do you not see what the problem is?
Jeez.
P.O. Box 911.
That's brutal.
God. Oh. But no, this, I didn't mind this match, actually. I don't think it's that bad of a match.
Yeah. I just got to step away for a few minutes. If you want to continue talking about SummerSlam, right. I will be back in 1 minute. I just have to take care of something. So you just keep going, and I'll join back up.
Okay, so I'm going to save the other half of the double main event for when Dan comes back, because I want to talk about the tag title match, which was 2 out of 3 falls. The Hart Foundation beating Demolition to win the tag team titles. Really good match, told a great story. This was when Demolition had 3 members, Axe, Smash, and Crush. And Smash and Crush do the match, and Axe comes out to interfere during the 3rd fall. And then the Legion of Doom come out and they distract Demolition, and the Hearts win the titles. And it's such a great moment. And I think Jim Neidhart cries or almost cries during the end of the match, which was really cool. So that's a great match. Let's see what else. Oh, Power and Glory. Hercules and Paul Roma defeat the Rockers. The fans were into Power and Glory. I remember that, which was kind of unusual at the time because you're not supposed to root for the heels. But I guess Power and Glory at the time were, thought of as cool people. So then the main event, because it was a double main event, or that's how it was advertised. But the other half of the double main event was the Ultimate Warrior defending the WWF title against Rick Rude in a steel cage match. It's a good match. It's not as good as the year before, because the year before was a great match, which we talked about earlier. This match is good. It's a good match. I still prefer the one from the year before. I'm just checking baseball scores here, folks. But no, Rude and Warrior, this was a good match. It just was in a unfortunate situation because it's Hogan's return to the WWF. So it kind of it gets overlooked, unfortunately. So but other than that, I don't mind the show. I know there are some people that don't like it, but I didn't think it's that bad of a show. So so yeah, that's basically SummerSlam 90. Sergeant Slaughter, he came back that night and presented Brother Love with this ridiculously sized medal, because like Nikolai Volkov got a medal. Let me see if I could find the name of the medal that Sergeant Slaughter gives out. Where is it? Oh, here it is. Okay. He presents Brother Love with the Greatest American Award.
All right, I'm back, man.
Oh gosh. But yeah, you know what? I didn't mind the SummerSlam. I don't think it's a bad show. It's just a lot of the matches are very short. So
Yeah, I remember it being a pretty quick event.
yeah.
But like a lot of them were pretty short back then.
Mm-hmm.
Like besides, even the WrestleManias were maybe 3.5.
Yeah.
Now it's like you have Monday Night Raw is 3 hours. Like that's with commercials and everything. But
yeah.
So we'll move on to Survivor Series.
Yep.
And we have a hell of a debut
Yes.
in this event.
Yes.
Who knew what we were getting when $1 Million Man had a secret partner?
Yep.
And if you younger guys and gals don't know this, this is where we meet The Undertaker.
Yeah.
Really cool character at the beginning, for sure. He came out with the hat, and the lights didn't go out yet. It was just like basic. I don't know, how would you explain the theme music? Or like the 1990 Undertaker.
Kind of church music.
Yeah. Almost like a funeral.
Yeah.
Which, he's The Undertaker, so that's a good
kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's really the big thing from this show is the debut of The Undertaker.
And it
And
says DiBiase is the sole survivor, so the Undertaker did get beat.
he was counted out.
Okay.
So from right there, from the very beginning, they protected The Undertaker.
0-1. Actually, his team won, so I don't know if that counts as a loss or not, or how that works.
I don't know.
But yeah, and this is very similar to 1989 Survivor Series. A lot of Survivor Series matches. The champions are all in elimination matches.
Yeah.
The Warriors face the Perfect Team, where it's Ultimate Warrior, Texas Tornado, and Legion of Doom.
Yeah.
Which were the Road Warriors, but Vince didn't want multiple warriors on his roster, so they became the Legion of Doom, which the name is, pretty cool.
It is.
But let's be honest, the Road Warriors. And then the Perfect Team was Mr. Perfect, Demolition. And this is where Demolition had the 3 members. They had Crush, was also a member.
Yep.
And Warrior ends up being the sole survivor in this match.
Yeah.
So.
And we already talked about the $1 Million Team and the Dream Team, so we could skip that.
Hulk Hogan, he's still having his kind of rivalry with Earthquake here.
Yep.
As you got the Hulkamaniacs, which is Hulk Hogan, Jim Duggan, Big Boss Man, and Tugboat. Tugboat was great. They defeated Natural Disasters, Earthquake, Dino Bravo, the Barbarian, and Haku. And doesn't Tugboat kind of turn into a heel here?
No, this isn't for a while.
It's not for a while, because the Natural Disasters tag team isn't it Tugboat and Earthquake?
It is, but
not for a while.
I don't think it's till like 91.
Oh, okay. Okay, so we'll probably get to that as we continue here. To be honest, all I remember about this event was the Undertaker's debut, and I do remember the Warrior match.
Well, we should mention real quick, they had this unusual stipulation.
Right, I'm reading
where all the survivors came back at the end of the night to compete in a grand finale match where Warrior and Hogan ended up being the survivors. What a surprise.
Yeah, they had Tito Santana. It was a 5-on-3 handicap kind of thing. I don't know how they came up with that. But
well, you can't just let Hogan and Warrior do all the work. You got to give it to somebody else.
You had to have someone lose. Warrior and Hogan go over.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the end of 1990.
Yeah.
Pretty incredible debut. Go on.
Yeah.
He retires 30 years, almost to the day. I believe it was 2020 at Survivor Series when he announced his retirement. So basically a 30-year career for the Undertaker. We'll do a show on the Undertaker.
Yeah.
Because
how could you not at this point?
That would almost be, and like we don't need to do anything else during that show. That's the Undertaker.
Pretty much. Yeah.
We could. Yeah. So, Royal Rumble 1991.
Yeah, back to Florida, but this time we're in Miami.
And when does Macho Man become the king? Because I remember him hitting Warrior in the head with his scepter.
He was king in 89. Like it was after SummerSlam.
Okay, so he becomes the Macho King.
Yeah.
At some point.
Yeah.
Just because I do remember, like the main thing I remember in this pay-per-view was Macho Man interfering in the title match.
Yeah.
And seeing that scepter just explode.
Oh my gosh. Such a good spot.
Yeah. Sergeant Slaughter. Now, what do you think the reason was for this? Now, you had the war going on.
Yeah. I think that might have been the big reason.
And Slaughter kind of turns his back on his country. and joins the enemy,
Yep.
and then they put the belt on him, and this belt that the Warrior had at the time, oh, it was so dumb. It had purple strap. Do you remember the purple strap?
Yeah, because like I think it changed like a few times.
Yeah,
Uh,
I think he changed it a few times. Like
yeah.
when Hulk had it, it's always black.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then when Warrior had it, it kind of changed a few times. There
It was
was a
like
white
yellow,
one,
the blue,
yellow,
the
blue,
white.
purple,
Yeah.
pink. I think there was a pink one at times. So maybe he just changed it. Maybe that's something he wanted
Mhm.
to do.
Maybe.
But yeah, I remember Sergeant Slaughter winning the title, and I always wondered their reasoning behind that. Like maybe they wanted to get the title back to Hogan, but they didn't want Warrior to look weak.
Maybe.
Or was there a reason? Maybe Warrior's getting punished, and they took his title from him.
I don't know.
Contract dispute or something. I don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah, we'd have to read into that a little bit more. But we go to the Royal Rumble match, and Hulk Hogan wins again.
Yep.
Two-time winner.
First 2-time winner.
So now this is the Royal Rumble I was thinking of. I was like, is this when they started?
No.
Because it must be 92 then.
Right, because like with 92, that's the
92
one with
is for the title. 93.
Yeah, 93 is the one where the winner gets the shot.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
93
okay.
was 9.
Yeah.
Yokozuna won.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's how it went down.
We figured it out, folks.
All right. We put our minds together. Figured it out.
Minds together. Yes.
But in this case, Hulk Hogan wins the Royal Rumble and he goes to WrestleMania to face the champion. So maybe he got a title shot for winning the Royal Rumble. Who knows? Or maybe because, it's WrestleMania and Hulk Hogan gets his match because that's the way it goes.
Now, of course, this WrestleMania that we're going to talk about is famous or infamous, depending on how you look at it, for a number of reasons.
Mm-hmm.
The first thing, this event was originally going to be in the Los Angeles Coliseum, which is an outdoor stadium, can hold up to over 100,000 people.
Yeah.
Depending on the story you want to believe.
I know what I believe.
It is either because of security or ticket sales. And I kind of believe the ticket sales more than I do the security.
Yeah. Well, war was going on. And I do think that in a situation where Vince can make more money by going outside, he would have taken it.
Mm-hmm.
But so you think ticket sales were down because of Slaughter being champion?
Not Slaughter, but I think just in general, like the ticket sales, because I don't know how much the tickets would have been for this.
I don't know.
WrestleMania. Because, we're talking about 1991 and the ticket prices are so different from today. I mean, I can look up.
You could probably look it up.
Yeah, for today, what a ticket, for one of these upcoming shows would be.
Yeah.
I'll pick the SmackDown coming up in Houston. That'll be a good starting place there. So the lowest price ticket for a SmackDown for the one coming up in Houston is $20.
Yeah.
The most expensive, which would probably be front row seating, is $120.
Okay.
Oh, actually, no, let me take that back. They have some seats at, dang it, why won't you let me? There we go. Okay, at $400. So, yeah, back then, WrestleMania tickets did not cost $400 in 1991.
No, I'm actually I found on Google here. This guy is he's auctioning off his ticket from WrestleMania 7.
Yeah.
But I can't see a ticket price, as it looks like it's been he's auctioning it for almost $700. And
Oh.
I'm like, okay, why would anyone want this? Just like for one.
Oh.
It's a like if you can see it,
Here, let me look at it. Okay, yeah, I see it.
so it's like a stub.
Yeah.
I can't see a price on there.
No, it looks like it
But
wore out.
yeah, like I don't know, maybe for if you're a collector.
And there are those. There are
Yeah.
collectors. So.
And they just got
Um,
yeah, I don't see any ticket prices,
yeah.
but you're probably right when it comes to you don't want to have empty seats. So let's
Right.
move it to
A smaller arena.
smaller arena. But there was also that thing about they were worried about security with
Mm-hmm.
Slaughter
Yeah.
being the American.
And being the Iraqi sympathizer.
Yeah, which I bet you that was not a storyline that he was too thrilled with,
Right.
because I don't know, but um, I like this WrestleMania.
Yeah, this is a good one.
You had the retirement match, which was my favorite match of the show.
Oh my God. It is
Which
so beautifully done.
retirement match, and like Savage wrestles for like 20 more years after this. So um, whatever you want to say about a retirement match, yeah, it's a really cool moment when Sherry's just beating him down, and this is like kind of like a heel to face turn.
Yeah.
Savage does, and Elizabeth is in the crowd, and she gets in, and crowd goes nuts.
Oh my God.
Such a good
So
moment. Great moment.
Yes.
And a really good match too, from what I can remember.
Oh, the match is amazing.
Savage is such an underrated guy. I put him in my top 5 all time, just for everything he brings.
I remember somebody when we had WrestleMania 30 came up with a list ranking every WrestleMania match ever, which
Really,
in itself is insane. I don't
long
think
did that take him?
He had this match as number 1.
His greatest WrestleMania match ever?
Yeah, his favorite WrestleMania match ever is Warrior Savage.
Okay.
With number 2 being Shawn and Taker from 25, which I totally understand.
Was this his favorite or his ranking? Because that's different.
Yeah, it is. And I think the reason he put this at number 1 was because of the story that was told.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a cool storyline behind it.
It is.
Yeah, like the aftermath of what happens after like in the next couple events.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it was awesome. So,
oh my gosh,
gotta love it, because like I was always a Macho Man fan, and it was kind of, it sucked when he was like the bad guy, but he played it really well.
He did.
He was a good heel. But yeah, when he finally like when he like grabs the mic, and in the most Macho Man voice of all time, he's like, "Elizabeth, I love you." And it's like fucking, it's so good. It's like, oh, he's a human being.
Elizabeth,
I love you.
Will you marry me?
And she goes, oh yeah. And then you get goosebumps, like,
yes.
And then it was funny, like I was watching Dark Side of the Ring, the first episode, and then I found out they had been married for like 7 years before this event. So I'm like, oh, you fooled us all. But
good job.
Pretty cool. Still, the fake wedding in the storyline was awesome. So, and then the last match, Hulk Hogan, Sergeant Slaughter.
Yeah.
Okay match.
Yeah, not terrible.
Classic Hulk Hogan match. He goes over at the end. The crowd was into it. I feel like if this match happened 10 years later, then the crowd probably would have booed him out of the building.
Maybe.
But
yeah.
this era, it was good. Hulk Hogan wins, and WrestleMania ends with Hogan posing, and he's the champion again.
Yeah.
And we move on to SummerSlam.
Yes, we do. And this is my favorite SummerSlam of all time.
Really?
I absolutely love this SummerSlam for so many reasons, because of the build that they had for not only the wedding, but for the main event, and just the way they called it is like, this is the match made in heaven, the match made in hell. And it's like, wow, that's a great tag. Like, I didn't know what a tagline is, but I'm like,
at the time,
wow, that's really good.
Right. Yeah.
And then what I also remember about this show is my brother, who is the one that got me into wrestling. He had his friends over to watch the pay-per-view.
Okay.
So they're downstairs where I am recording right now with you. And I'm upstairs with the rest of my family watching this show.
Okay.
So this event was pretty big for me.
Yeah.
And it still holds up 30 years later.
Yeah. When you said best SummerSlam, I love 92.
92
is my top with Wembley Stadium and Bulldog and Brett.
Yeah.
Like, that was awesome. 91 is definitely great as well.
Yeah.
SummerSlam, there's been a lot of good SummerSlams.
There have been.
It's an underrated event, in my opinion. 94 was great too, and Brett and Owen, Steel Cage. Great match.
Some of the early 2000s SummerSlams were really good.
Yep. I think it was 2000 where it was Rock and Triple H in the ladder match.
Oh, 98. 90. Oh, that's 98? A good one.
Oh, Highway to Hell.
Yes, that's a good one.
And the main event in that one, we're getting off topic, but the main event, Stone Cold knocked himself out. Undertaker hit him in the head. Yep. He apologized to him in the when they did their podcast. That, I guess,
Well, but, I mean, accidents happen.
Accidents happen, and he's like, I don't know. He's drinking beer on the ropes and said he didn't remember. So I guess it's all instinct at that point.
And he's like, Earl Hebner's like, do you know where you are? Do you know what you're doing?
You're in the garden. Okay.
Where the hell am I? All right, let's talk about some of these matches.
Yeah. All right, so let's start off with the Intercontinental title. This is one of the best matches of all time.
Yes.
Bret the Hitman Hart is a singles guy now, and this is like his coming out party, in my opinion. Bret Hart defeats Mr. Perfect in such a good match.
And let's give credit to Mr. Perfect. He wrestled that match with maybe the most messed up back at the time.
Yeah.
And he puts Bret Hart over.
Yep. He did a solid for Bret, because after this match you could kind of see Bret as that single star.
He was made.
And you never saw guys like Bret or Shawn Michaels get those main event pushes often. And I think this match kind of started that transition to that kind of wrestler, instead of the Warriors and the Hogans and the big guys, big, tall, muscle guys.
Yeah.
actual decent wrestlers like Bret Hart and Shawn. So yeah, this match stole the show for me.
Oh yeah.
A plus.
Mhm.
The jailhouse match, that was good. Big Boss Man defeats the Mountie. It's like Canada versus US.
And the vignettes after the match
Oh
are
man.
so great.
So
And I
good.
didn't and I
So
didn't realize it at the time until many years ago. This is the first time where you get to see someone give the middle finger to somebody
yeah.
because the police are like, "We need your finger. You want the finger? Here's the finger."
Yeah. Oh. And then you had the wedding,
Yeah.
which was cool.
Or as Bobby called it, the match made in hell.
Yeah. And then the wedding was great. Then the match, the main event, as Hogan and the Ultimate Warrior.
Mhm.
They face Sergeant Slaughter and General Adnan and Colonel
Mustafa.
Mustafa.
Yep. With guest referee Sid Justice.
Yeah, Sid Justice. Before he was Psycho Sid, and before he was Sid Justice. And this is kind of like setting up the next year,
Right.
WrestleMania.
And this is Warrior's final match for a while in WWF.
Yep.
So.
All right. So now we'll get to our final.
Well, we got two finals because we have the Survivor Series.
Yep.
Which is the next one.
Yep.
And this is the first one that's on Thanksgiving Eve, because usually it would be on Thanksgiving Day here in the United States.
Yeah.
But they moved it to Thanksgiving Eve.
Well, that's good that you watch football and then you can watch wrestling.
I will say this before we dive into the card. Looking back on it now, them moving the show to Thanksgiving Eve, I thought was such a smart move because you still have the kids watching.
Yeah.
And this is the perfect way for parents to distract their kids while they're, cooking stuff to get ready for the next day. This was a smart move on WWF's part at the time.
Yeah, I understand that. Yeah, like I never realized because I don't think I watched a Survivor Series lot like on pay-per-view. It was never one that I was like overly like at this time where I need to watch this. So a lot of them I ended up watching on like when it would come out on video or different things like that. I didn't know it was on the Thursday or the Wednesday it was a Thursday for Thanksgiving for you guys.
Yeah.
I always thought it was Sunday night events. So that's pretty interesting.
Yeah.
To do the Thanksgiving aspect to it.
Mm-hmm.
Because at that time with the NFL, they never had the primetime Thanksgiving.
Right. They never had
it was at the Detroit game in the morning, Dallas in the afternoon, and then you could lead into Survivor Series. So I bet you that's the main reason was for ratings.
Well, I mean, with the first one, famously, it's because they wanted to counter Starrcade, which was the biggest show of the year for the NWA at the time. And what bigger way to do it than to have Hogan and Andre face each other again on opposite teams?
Yeah.
So that's how they created it and started it. So, like, the first 4 were on Thanksgiving night. And then with this one, this started a pattern where they would be on Thanksgiving Eve.
Yeah.
Which, again, I still think smart move on their part. Put it on Thanksgiving Eve, have the kids distracted while the grown-ups make the food for tomorrow.
Well, they make the food and then maybe do TV trays for for turkey and stuff.
Right.
So what do you think of this event?
Honestly, the show is everything happens in the first half. Because like the second half is just, okay, we need to fill time.
Yeah.
So we're just going to put these two on there. But the big thing to take from this is Undertaker winning the WWF title.
Yeah. By I was it Million Dollar Man that puts the chair in
No,
the ring?
Flair. It's Flair.
Flair, yeah. This is Flair's. Yeah, because I'm seeing here he wins an elimination match.
Yeah.
So this must have been his where he's debuting, right?
This is his pay-per-view debut. Yeah.
Yeah. So he's been signed away,
Mm-hmm.
and he's the sole survivor in his match, and then he ends up taking the title from Hogan and
Yeah.
helping the Undertaker,
Mm-hmm.
which was pretty crazy because you didn't see titles change hands like this. It was usually WrestleMania,
Usually, yeah.
and
And
like you have the same champ for most of the year.
I mean, if you're gonna put it on a guy, to beat Hogan, I think Undertaker was the best choice because
Yeah.
you can't with Flair, it would be too early, I think.
Yep.
And I'm looking at the heels that we have here on the card. DiBiase's kind of past his point. Mountie can't take too seriously. Warlord, you kind of
Mountie as the champ, that would have been great.
you want the finger? No, just
Yeah.
kidding.
Unbelievable.
The only other one I could have seen if they did it, but he was in another storyline, would have been Jake Roberts. That's the only other one I could have seen.
Yeah.
But Undertaker was the best choice.
And as far as I knew, their plan was to set up a Flair Hogan WrestleMania match.
Right.
But both of them, like they've been asked about it, and each of them say the other person didn't want to do it. So there's still no truth.
That's the ultimate what if match.
Hogan
and Flair at a WrestleMania.
Like they had their match in WCW.
Yeah.
When Hogan won the title.
But to have had it happen at a WrestleMania, that would have been like the biggest deal.
Yeah. And Flair winning the Royal Rumble and becoming champion.
Mm-hmm.
Because let's talk about the Tuesday in Texas event.
Yes. And this is
because Hogan wins the title back.
Yeah.
So how does the title become, like, is Hogan a champion when it goes into Royal Rumble 92, or is it vacant?
Okay, so what happens here? Because this is a short show. This is like a 2-hour show, actually.
Yeah. Tuesday in Texas.
Yes. This is where, real quick, Jake Roberts slaps Elizabeth. And it's like, holy crap.
He slaps Elizabeth. Okay.
Okay, so Jack Tunney, who is the president of the WWF.
Yeah, he's like the Vince McMahon at this time.
Is at ringside for the match.
Yeah.
Because of what happened the week before.
Yeah.
So Flair comes out again.
Yeah.
And Hogan does something to Flair that knocks Tunney down.
Yeah, of course.
Meanwhile, Undertaker accidentally gets hit with the urn from Paul Bearer. Hogan gets ashes out from the urn, throws the ashes into the eyes of Undertaker. Referee counts, Hogan wins the title back.
Right.
Then on TV that weekend, Jack Tunney says that while the decision is final, I cannot, basically he's like, the way it happened, I can't approve of this.
Yeah.
So the belt is declared vacant and we're going to crown a new champion at the Royal Rumble.
Okay. And that's how they set up the Royal Rumble. And they want to, I feel they want to do a Flair Hogan match at WrestleMania. But I feel like some of it, like Flair's contract was coming up in the spring, I believe, after WrestleMania. I think, if I can remember correctly. Because he drops the title to Bret Hart in Saskatoon at a house show.
Right, and then he drops it to Savage at 8.
Yeah.
So.
Does he drop does Savage win the title at 8? I thought, didn't Flair doesn't win that match?
No, Savage wins the belt at 8.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's this is really good stopping point because we're going to transition into our chronicle of Randy Savage's career.
Amazing 3-year period, which leads us
Yeah.
to someone who is very important in that 3-year period.
And just because our video is we are getting up there in minutes, let's just do the WWF years.
Yeah.
If from 1985 to 1994.
Mm-hmm.
So let me pull up my notes that I had here.
All right.
And so, yeah, before we get into this, that 3-year chronicle is some pretty good years.
Yeah.
For wrestling. It was about to get really good for me.
Mm-hmm.
I love 93, 94, 95.
Right.
Most of the 90s I'm a fan of. We did 97 on our first show. That was an amazing year.
Mm-hmm.
96 is okay.
Mm-hmm.
You had some guys leaving, some big stars leaving in 96, and some injuries. Not injuries, but like Bret Hart taking most of the year. So 96 wasn't as good in my opinion as the other years in the 90s, but so 1985 to 1987, we got Macho Man as the Intercontinental Champion.
Yeah.
One of the best matches of all time happened at a WrestleMania, which you talked about your WrestleMania, the guy saying Macho Man and Ultimate Warrior. I feel like if Ricky Steamboat read that, he might have something to say about that.
Yeah, I wonder. I'm gonna find that match or that list.
Because if you're talking about greatest matches of all time, and you don't mention Ricky Steamboat, Macho Man, WrestleMania 3, then that doesn't really get the conversation moving for me. I feel like this is definitely top 5 all time. I'm not talking Macho Man matches. I'm saying all time.
Right.
And it wasn't a main event. It was an Intercontinental title match, I believe.
This was. I mean, this was for a long time my favorite match of all time, and it's still in my top 10.
Yeah, it's still one of the greatest. I think it's Randy Savage's best match that he ever had. We could go through some of the matches here while we talk about it, but
right.
Ricky Steamboat was such a good wrestler.
Oh my God,
they complemented each other very, very well.
Okay, well, it looks like I can't find the list, but I think that match was in his top. That guy's top 10 as well. So.
Okay, I just ran you saying Ultimate Warrior at the Mania 7, which was also a good match, but I don't think it comes close to Wrestling Breeze.
So he's Intercontinental Champion for well over a year, and then loses at 3 to Steamboat, and that's where really the momentum starts to happen for Savage, because he becomes a babyface, a good guy eventually. And then he goes into WrestleMania 4 with the tournament.
Yep.
And he wrestles 4 times and wins the world title. And we already told you guys the finals. He beat DiBiase. Yeah. First round, he beat Butch Reed. Second round, he beat Greg the Hammer Valentine. And in the semifinals, he beat the one-man gang.
Yeah. Now, if you look at those guys, it's not world beaters that he's beating, but it was still an incredible performance. 4 wins in one night, and had to defy all odds against Andre and the outside interference in the finals. So
So Savage becomes the champion, and he feuds with DiBiase for pretty much the spring and most of the summer of '88.
Yeah.
And then has a little feud with Andre, and then he had a little feud with Bad News Brown for a little bit, which is kind of a fun little feud. And then obviously we, with everything that we talked about earlier, WrestleMania 5 and the Mega Powers exploding.
Yep. Yeah, the Mega Powers, they kind of started in like after WrestleMania 4, and they have a match with a team called the Mega Bucks, which was Andre and Million Dollar Man, at SummerSlam in '88, I believe it was. I remember the poster of that. It was a good poster where you had like
Yeah, it was.
two guys on each side just like staring at each other. But that Mega Powers exploding storyline was so well done.
Yeah.
With Elizabeth in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like there was some real animosity behind the scenes between Hogan and Savage. About maybe spots in on the roster, and I think Savage actually thought something was going on between Hogan and Elizabeth. If you watched the Dark Side first episode, Match Made in Heaven, I believe, is the title of the episode.
Mm-hmm.
It chronicles Elizabeth and the Macho Man. Give it a watch because it's very good if you haven't seen it, and they kind of explain some of that stuff that I'm talking about here.
So then he would become the Macho King.
Yep.
And he would be king for, gosh, I want to say like a year and a half, I think.
We're saying 89 to 91, so.
Yeah, that's a long time.
Yep.
So he's king, and then he doesn't become king, and then he, quote unquote, retires and becomes a commentator for a while.
Which he didn't want to do.
Right.
But they were, at that time, trying to push the younger guys.
And I never understood why, you would do that, because he's still good in the ring. He's still, and we see that in WCW after he leaves.
Yeah.
He still has many good years left in him.
Yeah.
So yeah, he does the commentary thing, and then at the wedding reception at SummerSlam, he and Elizabeth get a Cobra as a present from Jake Roberts.
Yep. Yep.
And that starts off that feud.
Yep, with the biting on the arm and stuff, and
which we talked about.
We talked about already.
Yeah. And then that is what leads to Randy Savage getting reinstated. And then he goes to WrestleMania 8, faces Ric Flair for the title, and beats Flair for the title in a tremendous match.
Yep. Which we talked about earlier, where we thought that would have been the Hulk Hogan spot, and something happening there where Hogan faces Sid Vicious in a forgettable match. And Macho Man I think Macho Man taking that spot made that match a lot better than it would have been with Hogan.
Right.
What do you think?
Yeah. No, I agree with you.
Okay.
And then he feuds with Flair, and then he has a match at SummerSlam with the Ultimate Warrior.
Yeah.
And then he loses the belt back to Flair. And then after 92, he's kind of on and off with being in the ring. He's doing commentary. He's wrestling a little bit. I
don't remember much of him in 93 or 94 as a wrestler. Like, I know he was doing commentary with Vince and Jerry Lawler.
Mm-hmm.
I believe Macho Man's kind of like that third guy, but I don't know if maybe they signed him to a contract and they didn't want him wrestling. So,
and his final feud was with Crush, which led to a match at WrestleMania 10, which was a Falls Count Anywhere match.
Right. Yeah. That was probably his
Um,
last match in
yeah.
WWF.
And then by the fall, I want to say it's the fall of 94 is when he leaves. And oh, actually, hold on, I have it here. His last match in WWF
Yeah.
was teaming with Bret Hart to defeat Owen Hart and Jim Neidhart in Rostock, Germany on September the 13th.
Really?
So if anybody in Germany has footage of that match, please put it up on YouTube. I'd like to see that.
Yeah, share it. Share it on our page. That'd be awesome.
But then what I remember was there was an episode of Monday Night Raw, and there would be some nights where if I knew I had like the next day off, like school day off,
Yeah.
my parents would let me watch Raw back when Raw was 1 hour long.
Or you're frozen right now, buddy.
It's like, oh, we'll be back, but let you know that Macho Man is leaving the WWF. He cannot come to a new contract from his number. And any biography said about when Randy Savage left, which drove me nuts. Did you see that one yet?
Yeah.
Did you see the A&E biography of Savage? Oh, there we go.
There we go.
So that's okay. So for those that haven't seen the documentary, Jerry Lawler says how Vince is like, oh, I wonder where Randy is. And Jerry's like, oh, you should look at the TV. And, you know, he's on WCW. That's not true. That is not what happened. I don't know who set that up, but.
No, I feel like I think they offered him a contract extension.
Yeah.
But to be a commentator and like almost like a coach.
Mm-hmm.
But he's like, he was still young for wrestling. But
yeah, he had many years.
And then honestly, you can't say this about a lot of wrestlers.
Mm-hmm.
But when he went to WCW, I didn't mind Macho Man in WCW.
No, I did not mind him
for the first bit. When they started overdoing the NWO angles and stuff,
right?
Everybody was in the NWO, or they're in the Wolfpack, or whatever there was. I think at one point there was like so many groups you couldn't even follow it. But at the beginning, 94 to 96, I liked what they did with him.
Mm-hmm.
You got the Mega Power reunion when Hogan came in there.
Yeah.
And that was pretty good. Macho Man had some success as the World Heavyweight Champion for WCW. He had some really good matches with Sting. So I think Macho Man is one of the greatest of all time for his character, his in-ring ability,
mm-hmm.
And putting on great matches. And I feel like people don't hold him up against like some of the other greats, where I think he should be right there with those guys.
I've said this in the past on my other podcast, that wrestling show. And I honestly, and this is what I'm about to say, nothing against Shawn Michaels, nothing against his fans. But to me, Randy Savage is Mr. WrestleMania because he has this amazing stretch where he has the best match on the show. We talked about Flair, or we talked about Steamboat, from 3. He does the tournament at 4, 5 with Hogan, 6, the mixed tag match. That's a fun match. That match should not have been as fun as it was. 7 with Warrior, 8 with Flair. It's
Yeah.
I feel
Nine, I think he was commentating.
commentating, yeah. To me, he is Mr. WrestleMania. To me,
Yeah. And he lost a lot of those matches, but
yeah, he did.
like his record is probably like 3-5 or whatever. But like he won at 4
Mm-hmm.
and he won at 8. So he's Mr. WrestleMania, but he's won 2 matches at the show that I can think of. Now I don't know about 2 or 1.
He wasn't. He wasn't on the first one. He was at 2. He
Yeah.
beat George Steele, so that's another
Okay.
one.
Okay. So he won at 2,
Mm-hmm.
and it's funny because if you look at the matches at WrestleMania that he lost, he was the best person in the ring.
Yeah.
Like Hulk Hogan, he carried Hulk Hogan in every match he did with Hulk Hogan.
Mm-hmm.
Even the Ricky Steamboat match, he was the best wrestler in that match.
Mm-hmm.
Carried Warrior. He made Warrior look like $1 million. And I am not like now. Like I liked Ultimate Warrior when I was a kid because he had energy and he had long hair and his tassels. But
Right.
we know who Ultimate Warrior is.
Mm-hmm.
He needed somebody like Savage to carry him to that great match. Like he could have good matches with certain guys. That's just my opinion on him. But yeah, the way like we said, Randy Savage was, well, he's one of the GOATs, in my opinion.
Yeah, he is.
And before we sign off, we got to talk about my favorite promo of all time, and that's Cream of the Crop.
Oh yeah.
Where was he getting those creamers? He just kept pulling them. We watched, like, my brother-in-law is a huge fan of that promo, so we always listen to it and laugh. And he just like, it's so good.
Here's my guess.
Where are the creamers? Is there someone handing them creamers?
Here's my guess. This is just an honest guess. They were doing a day of interview segments.
Yep.
And Randy is one of those guys that has to cut like a few promos.
Yep.
So he's probably over at the table where the coffee is.
Yep.
And he sees all like these stacks of cream right there.
Cream of the crop.
So he just picks it up and is like, cream of the crop.
Yeah.
And then he comes and he does that promo. That's my guess. That is my guess.
I would not be surprised if he didn't even write it. If he just walked up and said, grabbed a creamer and said, "This is what I'm going to do."
I tried to take a picture of myself with a little creamer.
Yep.
I'll send you the picture.
Okay.
Off when we're done. But my nephew, he was like 5 at the time, and he got in the picture. So I was like, I can't get him out of the picture. I'm gonna have him with me holding this little cream of coffee. Yeah.
Cream of yeah. So, and I think of Macho Man. I always think of that promo, and that was around WrestleMania 3 range because he talks about Steamboat and other things there. So yeah, Macho Man. He ends up going into Hall of Fame, but it's a tragic way to end because way he seemed like his life was doing pretty well.
Yeah.
He got remarried, and he was just driving his car home one day, and I believe he had a heart attack while he was driving, crashed into a tree.
Do you remember where you were when you heard the news or found out?
Yeah, actually, I was at a pub with some of my friends, and we saw it on Sports Central.
Oh, wow.
And we ended up, we went back to my place, and I said, we got to go get some Slim Jims, and we got to watch some Macho Man matches on YouTube tonight. And we ended up having a Macho Man night, and it was awesome. To his memory. And we watched which is the Spider-Man movie he was in. We watched that too. Bonesaw.
I I was outside playing with my nephew, who's in the picture that I'll send you,
Okay.
and I got a thing on my phone, and I just couldn't believe it. I
Yeah.
was devastated, and I was like, "No, not him. No,
Right.
you know." And it's hard to believe it's been 10 years
Yeah.
since that happened.
Yeah. It happens a lot in wrestling, and you're
Yeah.
always shocked. But yeah, that was like tough
Hmm.
because I don't know. He was like a hero to me as a kid. So
Yeah.
that's why I wanted to do a show on him right out of the gate here.
Hmm.
Um, I know I've picked the first two, so I'd like you to tell me what you want to do for episode 3, and we'll hopefully be able to bring it
Yeah.
to soon.
Yep.
I'll let you think about that for a little bit,
Yeah. Okay.
and and we can maybe next weekend we can record episode 3 and
No.
talk about the next important discussion on the DK and Bill Wrestling Podcast. So
Mhm.
to thank everyone for joining us. And do you have anything left to say before we sign off here?
No.
Thanks for watching, everybody, and hope you enjoyed 89 to 91 and Macho Man Randy Savage. Have a great day.
It's